Okay, good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and for some of you, good afternoon. If you're on the East Coast, it is 1:48 p.m. Sorry about that, and it is 10:48 a.m. here, 12:48 in the I guess Midwest Central Time. Yeah, Central Time. Anyway, this is CrossBones MMA's UFC Japan preview show. Barnett versus Nelson, obviously with me, Mr. Jesse Ruvalcaba out of California, out of Oklahoma, Don Manos. Fellas, how you guys doing? Pretty good.
Good.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Don's thinking about it. All right. My name is Eddie Law. I am your host. Let's talk about UFC Japan. Let me give you the times real quick. Obviously, everyone thinking that the time's going to be a little weird because it is in Japan, but as we all know, it's catered to the U.S., so it's going to be on our schedule, not theirs. So I'm not sure what time they're fighting. I believe it's somewhere in the early morning hours. But Fox Sports 2 prelims, which means I'm going to have to stream this shit because I'm not paying for Fox Sports 2. I'm not watching ping pong on television. That's stupid. I watch that shit on the internet. But Fox Sports 2, not 1, 2. 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific is the prelims. And then on Fox Sports 1 is the main card starting at 10 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Pacific. Prelims, again, 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific, kicked off by, and this is going to be the best part of this entire show, is the fact that I can't pronounce any of this shit, but let's give it a shot here. Shinsho Anzai, the animal, against Roger Viva Zapata. Out of the Dominican Republic. So we got Japan against Dominican Republic. Anzai 8-2, and he likes to stand. He likes to stand with guys. So for the most part, pretty. I'm assuming he's a pretty exciting fighter. He's not a very well-known guy as far as I guess what I watch. I don't know him very well. But the good part about that, what I think is gonna be cool about this fight, Zapata's also a stand-up fighter. So we might just see them fucking throw down like fucking animals on the very first fight of the night. And we see, I think me and Jesse, or Jesse and I have talked about this before, the UFC tries to start these cards off with a fight that's going to get the tempo going for the rest of the card. And they kind of try to anticipate how the fights are going to go. So, Jesse, what do you think about this fight? And is this kind of like what the UFC is trying to always do by starting off with a bang?
It's interesting because, yeah, you could see it. Like the first couple fights, it's all pretty much just stand-up guys. Most of these guys don't even have a submission to their record or something, you know. So it's like you could see that what they're trying to do. They're trying to make it exciting for the crowd there. They're trying to bring that, I guess, like that, just let it go and stand and bang type of fight. The problem here is the thing that makes me upset about this is Roger Zapata, he's not even Mexican, and he's trying to claim the Viva Zapata name. That's crazy. But other than that, I mean, Anzai's first promotional debut, he lost to Alberto Mina or something like that. Another guy knows who that guy is. But I think the only thing that's really in Anzai's favor here is that he's fighting at home. This is where he was born. So he's going to have that extra push from the crowd, even though, you know, the Japanese crowd really is probably not going to cheer for him. They're very well known for being respectful and quiet. So, but I think he'll get a pop. He'll get that rush from fighting at home. Zapata here, like you said, he's the striker. 3 wins by knockout. That's pretty much his only wins. I think his other win was a decision. He was on Tough 19. I think he was part of BJ Penn's crew, but I mean he didn't show me anything that would give me the idea that he's got the experience or just the all-around skill to be able to be here and to win this fight. So my winner I think is going to be Anzai, probably a TKO. Probably going to start off the fight the night pretty well. And it should honestly, this should be an interesting card because most of these guys really like to bang it out, have a lot of knockouts on their record. So it should be one of those fight cards that's kind of a sleeper.
Yeah, and at the welterweight division, you do have guys that I mean, now that I think about it, most of the guys at 170 like to stand, right? I mean, we don't have a lot of grapplers ever since GSP left, and BJ Penn. That we don't have a lot of guys, and Nick Diaz obviously, but we don't have a lot of guys left that are just grapplers. You know what I mean? So we have mostly stand-up guys. Don, who are you picking in this fight? And I mean, do you agree? This is just a way to start the card with just a big pop.
It's kind of what the UFC is more geared towards nowadays, where you wanna bring in people who you know are going to stand up and fight, because the basic fight fans don't really like ground wars. They kind of like it when 2 guys want to sit there and rock 'em, sock 'em robots. And from watching Zapata back in the day on Ultimate Fighter, he was okay. But just like Jesse said, when you got Anzai in Japan in front of the Japanese crowd. When he comes out, he's going to feel the love. When he's in the ring, he's going to feel more at home. Zapata will be more tired because he's not where he's supposed to be. I just think it's going to be an easy win for Anzai, and I agree TKO early.
Yeah, I'm also going to take the hometown boy over Zapata, and I'm basically with Jesse here. How fucking dare you take the Zapata? But anyway, for those that don't know what we're talking about, Google that shit, and then you'll find out why two Mexicans are like, what the fuck? Anyway, moving on. Naoki Kotani against Cajun Raging Johnson. Raging Johnson out of TriStar in Canada. This dude is not bad. But he is 1-1 in the UFC. He got knocked out by Taehyung Bang. And by the way, he just fights a bunch of Asians apparently. Like he hasn't fought anybody else in the UFC yet. And then he got a decision win over Li Peng Zhang. And now going against Naoki Kotani. Kotani, meanwhile, is 0-2 in the UFC and about to get his walking papers if he loses this fight. And he seems to be more of a submission, a ground guy, right? So it's I think it seems more favored. This fight seems more favored towards Kotani. But you know, it could turn into a grappling vest because as we know, the TriStar guys are ground guys. I mean, 11 submissions in Johnson's win record. But I don't know if he's gonna try and give him a different look, come out standing. But Don, on this fight, Raging Johnson has more experience than Kotani. I don't think by much. Yeah, no, never mind. I take it back. Kotani has way more experience. It's a weird fight the way I see it. Who are you picking and why?
Once again, I'm just going to go with the I don't know either fighter very well card. Let's go Kotani because he's going to be in Japan. You said he has the experience, 33 wins on his record. He's desperate for this win. It's going to be, I'm going to go with the one that's really boring, just safe. I'm going to hold you down. I'm not really going to try to go for a submission kind of wins. So, short and sweet.
There you go. What about you, Jesse?
I'm going to pick Johnson here. Mm-hmm. I think he's got the pedigree to and the coaching to know how to neutralize what Kotani's going to bring. Yeah, I mean, 25 submissions on your record, damn, that's a lot of submissions. I mean, this dude just goes for submissions all the time. 5 knockouts in his record, not really a stand-up guy. I've seen a couple of his fights. He looks comfortable enough standing up, but he just doesn't seem like he wants to be there too long. The only problem I have, the real thing that I looked at here was that if you look at his record, 33 wins, 12 losses. Of all the 12 losses, they're all to people that are, I think 4 of those were people in the UFC, and then everybody else was a name. It was always a name that would beat him, somebody that had the experience, somebody that had the skills. And all of his wins, 33 wins, none of them had winning records. None of them had really like a standout win. They were really, you could almost say they were like kind of like tomato cans almost. A lot of them are just these Asian fighters that nobody's heard of. So and he's coming off of like almost a year-long layoff. So I mean, there's just a lot of things I see that Kotani has going against him, and I think Johnson's going to be able to use what he's learned at TriStar. Probably working out with some really good ground people, and he's gonna really, in my opinion, I think he's gonna be able to handle the submission game, and I think he might actually end up finishing this fight.
Yeah, definitely, and I don't know. Whenever there's a TriStar guy fighting, it seems like I lean towards them every time. They just got a friggin' camp full of killers, right? I mean, the camp that has GSP. They used to have They used to have a bunch of guys that are good. The talented guys left. It's just like they just create talent almost. They attract all these guys. So it's I'm gonna go with Johnson as well, just for the fact that he's coming out of TriStar. I'm a big fan of TriStar, but yeah. Anyway, we got a couple comments here. One on YouTube. Anyone know what happened to Kid Yamamoto? Yes, Kid Yamamoto and Matt Hobar both were injured during their camps. So instead of putting together a brand new fight, it's they just scrapped it. So they're not going to fight tonight. Again, both injured during training, and they're kind of just out. So for Alfonso who asked, that's the answer right there, just injuries. All right, moving on here. The next prelim, a guy we know very well against the guy that's making a start in the UFC, Nick Hein out of Germany against Yasuke Kasuya. Obviously, Nick Hein, we've seen him a few times in the UFC, or at least 3 times, I think. Last one against Lukas Sajewski over in Poland. via decision. Before that, lost to James Vick, and then beat Drew Dober in his UFC debut. Taking on Yusuke Kasuya, making his promotional debut. Last fight he had against a guy named Frank Camacho. So now I don't like him. What the fuck? Won that via rear naked choke. But out of Japan. So again, we're in Japan. They're bringing a lot of Japanese fighters, trying to get the crowd, riled up, trying to get the hometown boy. But I'm leaning towards Nick Hein. I'm leaning towards experience and the guy that we've seen be pretty durable in the cage. We'd love to see a finish from Nick Hein. We really would. But this is probably going to go decision, and I think Nick Hein's going to take it. Starting with Jesse here, man, what do you think?
Yeah, I see that this is probably going to go to a decision. I mean, his last three fights have all gone to decision. He's I don't know. I feel like he has the ability to probably finish a lot of those fights. It's just that the experience has to be there for him. I don't think he has the comfort yet that he's confident in his hands yet, in his striking. It just seems like he's okay with it, but he'd rather just try to kind of grind out a win. On the other side, Kasuya, you could tell that this guy really, really enjoys to try to kind of break somebody's spirit and try to make them quit. He's got 8 submissions on his record, so he likes to go for those submissions. He's real tricky on the ground. I think this should be a good fight. Again, I always hamper on the fact that when it's a debut, and especially if it's in your hometown, it's one of those things that pressure might be a little too much. I agree with you, Eddie. I think Hein's going to take this win. I just hope that he's able to start something here. Because inconsistency is not a good thing, and you don't want to start your UFC career being inconsistent. Having a win, then a loss, and a win. You kind of got to go for these streaks and try to get in there and really make a difference. So, hopefully Hein can pull this off and start on a little streak here.
Yeah, definitely. And the thing is, I knew about the UFC jitters, but it's like I think you talked me into believing in that shit because every single time you talked about it, you're like, hey, UFC jitters, and then almost every single fight, you were fucking on point with it. So I'm like, yeah, that's real. I gotta pay attention to that. But Don, what do you think about this fight? Nick Hein gonna take it, or is the hometown boys gonna be so amped up he's gonna do something crazy?
We're gonna go with the first. We're gonna go with Nick Hein because I've seen him fight. Nick Hein, he's not the most exciting guy, but he knows how to win. He'll find a way to drag it out, win by a decision. Hopefully, it's as dominant as his last couple ones have been, where he just looked good the whole time through. But yeah, Nick Hein should easily take this. I mean, I won't be surprised if he doesn't, but I would love to see a German champion one day. Why not?
Why not? Let's see it. I mean, he fights at 155. A lot of killers in that division, man. But IB band, people gonna be moving up and down in weight classes. You never know. We'll see. Anyway, and now the main prelim, or the featured prelim, as they like to call it, Keita Nakamura against Li Jianliang. Whenever someone calls themselves the Leech, and that's their friggin' nickname, it makes me think of a guy who likes to pray and hump, lay and pray, whatever. But he's 2-1 in the UFC. Beat David Machad, I think is how to say it. At UFC 170, Machad, okay. At UFC 173, lost a split against Nordine Taleb at Fight Night 54. And then coming off a win over Diego Lima via knockout. Of course, Diego Lima being the most disappointing fighter, in my opinion, ever. His brother's a killer, and this kid just decides to, he just has a glass jaw. So, anyway, on the other side, we get Keita Nakamura, UFC debut, but I think he has like a 4-fight win streak, all finishes, TKO, submission. Fighting in Japan. Dude has 36 fights. He's 30-6. Only 2 draws and 1 no contest. The guy finishes fights. He likes to finish fights, ground or standing. And fans, we want to see fights get finished. So I'm leaning towards Nakamura here. I know UFC jitters and all that, but he's 31 years old. He's had a 4-fight win streak. He's been finishing fights. Lee is like just what we were saying about the last fight, inconsistency. You don't really want that to start your UFC career, and that's kind of what he has. Win, loss, win. He's obviously not going to be in danger of getting cut unless he does something crazy. But starting with Don here, what do you think about this fight? Who you got in this one?
I agree. I mean, it's really good when it comes to bringing a streak into the octagon. I mean, UFC jitters are a real thing. But when you're on a 4-fight finish streak, just like Nakamura is, it's going to kind of carry him a little further than if he just came in, with 2-fight win streak. And then Lee, on the other hand, I'm gonna root against you, man, until you leave the UFC because you knocked out Diego Lima. That's my dude. Diego's one of my favorite fighters that I was watching on Tough. So let's go Nakamura. Hopefully it's a fun fight because the betting odds are so close. It's a minus 140 for Lee, plus 240 for Nakamura. Basically, you just throw money and hopefully you win something. So that's what I'm going with. I'm just flipping a coin.
All right. What about you, Jesse?
I agree with Don. Diego Lima was one of my favorite fighters there. His brother, badass, just got beat recently, but still badass fighter. And I kind of want Lee to do good, just so we can say, yeah, Diego got beat by a guy that ended up being a top contender or even a champ.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I don't want him to be some dude that just kind of beat a couple guys and then gets booted out. The other thing is that Nakamura has been in the UFC before. And I think he was too young in his career when he started in the UFC. He went 0-3 right out of the UFC. So I just, it's hard for me to really pick against Nakamura, but I'm gonna have to, just for the fact that because that he beat Diego Lima, I want those guys to really have a good career and to kind of show the UFC that they put Lima against some really tough guys. Because I kind of think he had kind of a tough outing in his fights in the UFC. But again, I mean, ever since Nakamura came out of the UFC in his first time, he went 14-3-1. But again, not really known guys. Really it almost looked like he was running just the gamut of the local circuit, trying to pad up his record to kind of get back into the UFC, and he got back in. So I don't know. I think this could be a pretty exciting fight. I'm just going to have to go with Lee.
All right. Moving on here to the main card. Again, main card on Fox Sports 1, prelims, Fox Sports 2. So if you got 2, great. I feel sorry for the fact that you're paying too much money, but great. Fox Sports 1, first fight on the main card, Mizuto Hirota against Teruto Ishihara. Fuck those names. Anyway, starting out here with Mr. Hirota, he has been in the UFC before, had an 0-2 stint. He went 0-2. In 2013, lost to Rani Yaya, lost to Rodrigo Dam, then went 3-0 at Deep Dream Impact. Deep Dream Impact. That's a Japanese. I'm pretty sure it's a Japanese promotion. Anyway, sorry. 17-7. He's 34-year-old. Likes to knock people out. Basically, he likes to stand and punch people in the face. So taking on Teruto Ishihara. I don't know what Ishaba means, but that's his nickname. We really need someone to translate this shit.
Rascal Mischievous.
Yeah. Anyway, he's very inconsistent, but he's either knocking somebody out or he's getting knocked out, so or finished. So I'm guessing the UFC is thinking they're kind of placing their bet on this one, thinking this kid's going to be very exciting. This looks like a good fight on paper, obviously because I haven't seen either guy really fight, so I'm kind of iffy on this one. I'm going to take this guy that has been in the UFC before. I think he's going to win just for the fact that he's been there. But I'm really hoping for that Ishihara is some fucking psycho that comes out and almost Diego Sanchez people, just fucking psycho, bite on your mouthpiece, go crazy. But yeah, so I'm gonna take Mr. Hirota. Who you got, Jesse?
I'm gonna go with the guy that has his name that's Latin for fist, which is Hirota Pugnus, I guess is his nickname.
Yeah.
I guess that means fist in Latin, I guess. That's pretty cool. The other guy, Mischievous or Rascal, is what his name means in some weird dialect that they have over there. But yeah, I mean, again, this is exactly what we're talking about. They're trying to bring in the crowd here. But neither of these guys have a submission on their record. 6 KOs on one side, 10 KOs on the other. I mean, these guys just come in and just throw down. I mean, that's it. It's just, they just throw down. And I think we're going to see a pretty good fight here. The only thing that kind of has me iffy about it is Ishihara's it's his debut, and he might be a little, scared to kind of throw maybe. Hopefully he's not. Hopefully he stands in the pocket and just goes after it, because that's basically what the UFC wants here. They want to see who wants to be here in the UFC. And you got, like you said, one guy was in the UFC, got cut, now he's back, so we'll see. I think he's coming in a 3-fight win streak coming into the UFC, so I'm going to go as well with the Fist. We'll call him The Fist, and hopefully he'll get a knockout here.
All right, Don, what do you think?
I'm going to go with the Fist as well. That sounded really weird. I regret saying it now. Um,
Sorry.
Based on he has been in the UFC before, like you said. He's also faced Pat Healy and Shinya Aoki,
Mm-hmm.
who had just lost his title over in Legacy. I believe it was Legacy, whatever. And then Shinya's over in ONE FC winning championships. So he's been in there with major people. Hani Yaya lost to him. So based on experience, been in the UFC before, let's go with Mr. Hirota.
All right, so you heard it there. We're all going Hirota here. Different reasons, but still. All right, next fight looks like I love watching Diego Brandao fight. I always have. You know what I mean? Ever since the Ultimate Fighter. Even when he fought McGregor, and we all knew he had no chance. There was like a sliver, like a little part of me that thought, come on, man, just one hit on McGregor, put him out. Couldn't do it. Still an exciting fighter. Diego Brandao taking on Kasunori Kikuno. I was in Brazil against Japan here. Let's start off with Mr. Kikuno, who people know a little less of. He is he's been in the UFC for a couple years now. He's 2-2, beating Quinn Mulhern and Sam Cecilia, but losses to murderer Tony Ferguson, who's a killer on the ground. Love watching Tony Ferguson. He's killer everywhere actually, but I love his ground game. And then losing to Edmison Sosa via knockout. He got knocked out by both guys, by the way, so he can be put to sleep with a fist. Meanwhile, the guy that likes to put people to sleep with his fist, Diego Brandao, so it almost seems like it's set up, but still. He's been in the UFC a long time. We've known about him since the Ultimate Fighter and all that. Just recently beat Jimmy Hetz via TKO. It was a doctor stoppage, but still TKO win. Before that, lost to Conor McGregor and Dustin Poirier. So the only guys he's really lost to are names. You know what I mean? Big guys. Other than Darren Elkins, who's a weird-looking guy. But did beat Danny Bermudez in his Ultimate Fighter finale via armbar. He wins over Daniel Pineda, Joey Gambino, Pablo Garza. Now he's trying to add another win to his record here. I think he gets it. I think he knocks his dude out unless he. And first of all, he can fight on the ground. He's had plenty of submission wins. I think he has at least 5 in his career. So no matter where it goes, I think Diego Brandao is going to be just fine. But I think if it stays standing, he's going to put this dude out with a fist, maybe overhand right or something like that. Don, who you going with here?
Same. I love Diego Brandao. I love the way he fights. He's if he wants to, he'll get you in an armbar like when he won the Ultimate Fighter, or he will stand up and just bang with you. Plus, even though I'm white, I feel like Brazil is in my heart because I've always rooted for all the Brazilian fighters. He fights out Jackson Winklejohn, but he's from Fortaleza. I love Diego Brandao's fighting style. It's kind of like they set him up with somebody like, here, we know you can knock him out. We're going to build you back up. Let's get you in the top 15 again. That kind of thing with him.
Yeah, definitely. And again, Diego Brandao's not going to win a title in the UFC. No. I mean, we kind of know that. But he's a guy we love to watch fight. Jesse, who you got in this one?
I agree with you guys. The only thing that I'm not, as King Mo said, I'm not dick riding Brandao here. I agree with you guys, but he's like the Tito to me. I like his fighting style. I like the way he fights and competes. Just don't like the guy. The guy's a loose cannon. He's crazy. Threatens to stab people in the back. Mm-hmm. Just a little loose in the head. Probably been hit a little too much in the head. But the thing that like you guys said, I think this is tailor-made for Brandao to win. Literally, like, they couldn't have picked a better guy unless it was a guy that had an even more glass chin. And the problem is that Kikuno, even though I'm a big fan of his, the problem is that since he first got knocked out by Ferguson, you kind of see that his chin has kind of gone away. 23 wins, 7 losses, 2 draws. It's a lot of fights, a lot of damage, and I think that's the problem with Kikuno. I think he's just been in the game too long, and it seems like his chin is starting to go. This is going to be the fight to really see if that's true, but it seems like it's true already. I mean, Ferguson knocked him out, first time he's ever been knocked out in his career. Then another fight later, he gets knocked out again. Yeah, I mean, Brandao is probably going to be able to land a punch, and it's going to test Kikuno's chin, and if it's not there, it's going to be an easy night for Brandao.
Yeah, no, I'm with you on that as well. All right, moving on here. A fight that has one dude that's pretty well known against a guy that's super awkward to me. Takeya Mizugaki, number 8, bantamweight against George. I'm awkward as fuck, Roop. Let's talk about George Roop first. Been in the UFC quite a while, since 2012, I believe. He's not super inconsistent, but he did lose his actually no, he's been in the UFC since 2011. My bad. But he's fought names, right? He lost to Mark Hominick, lost to Cub Swanson, Hoxley Hioki, Francisco Rivera, beat Dustin Kimura, which is weird, but he did. And then coming off a loss to Rob Font in July last year via knockout. So George Root finally making his way back to the cage here, taking on Takeya Mizugaki, the hometown guy. I think this is going to get a big pop. I think he's going to come out. People are going to be freaking out. But Mizugaki, he's a well-known guy in Japan. He is riding a 2-fight losing streak, but he lost to Aljamain Sterling and Dominic Cruz. I think we can forgive both of those. Okay, I think we can forget those losses for the fact that those two guys are monsters. Cruz for sure a monster when he's healthy, and Aljamain Sterling, people I think are sleeping on him. I think he's going to be a big name very, very soon, as long as they give him a fucking fight anyway. Before that, went on a 5-fight win streak. Brian Caraway, Eric Perez, Nam Phan, Francisco Rivera. This guy, he's a legit fighter, and I think he's going to take this one over the awkward one for sure. Doesn't matter how. He's just at home, got the experience. I think it's basically his fight to lose in my opinion. So let's start here with Jesse, man. Who do you think is going to take this one and he's going to win?
I agree with you. Mizugaki, he's the real deal here. Again, like you said, his only losses. I mean, you look at the people that he lost to. That tells you something. I mean, it's just a no-brainer here. George Roop, he's inconsistent, and that's the key word here for the night. Inconsistent. When you're inconsistent, you can't really bet on those people. I mean, I'm sure. I don't know if Don has the whatchamacallit, the odds there, but I'm pretty sure Mizugaki's probably going to be the bigger favorite here. Mm-hmm. And especially because Roop has been off for almost over a year, 14 months, I think. So I just don't see Roop getting back in there and kind of peeling off a win here against a guy that is probably hungry for a win. Especially after his last 2 losses, he wants to get back in there. He wants to get to the title, and he still thinks that he can compete. It's not going to happen for Roop this time.
All right, Don, who you got in this one?
Yeah, I'm going to go with y'all, man. Mizugaki, he hits so hard. He hits. And then the thing about Roop, we've seen Roop get knocked out pretty easily. And it seems like it's getting easier and easier. When he fought Rob Font, it was a hit and then an elbow right afterwards. It was a punch and then a shoulder. Knocked him right out. And just like Jesse said, Mizugaki's kind of a heavy favorite. He's minus 230 to a 206. But that's not calculating in. They're going to be in Japan. Takeya is a big name over in Japan. They love him. So yeah, he's gonna carry him over the top. He's gonna knock this dude out, probably first or second.
All right, moving on here to the next fight. 2 guys that are pretty well known. You've heard these names. Why? Because they've had big fights already. Chico Camus taking on Kyoji Origuchi. Camus actually had a pretty good showing against Henry Cejudo at UFC 188 in Mexico. I thought it was a legit showing. I thought Chico Camus, the stock, even though he lost, his stock skyrocketed. So I'm excited about this fight. He is inconsistent, pretty damn inconsistent, but still a big fight for him. Origuchi, meanwhile, again, I believe he's a hometown guy. Yeah, he's a hometown guy, 15-1. He's very, very talented. He has fought against the champ and lost. Before that, 4-fight win streak that included wins over Daryl Montague and Luis Godinot. Let's start here with Jesse, man. What do you think about this fight? I mean, the 2 experienced guys, 2 guys that are legit guys at 125. Keeping in mind that 125 is like the bottom of a well when it's empty. It's got like this much water and there's like a frog in there somewhere. It's so shallow, and there's just they just throw people at Demetrius Johnson now. So what do you think about this fight? Who wins it?
Wow. I can't agree with Chico Camus because of his nickname, the King. He just needs to lose that name there. And how could you not know that Horiguchi, with that name, that wasn't his hometown? Come on, Eddie. Anyway, if your only last loss in a huge line of people that you've beaten is Demetrius Johnson, that's not even a loss in my record, because whoever you put against DJ, he's gonna win. I mean, he's gonna figure you out and beat you. The thing here is, I think this should be an interesting fight, and I think this might be one of those fights where we see who's going to move on to possibly challenge the champ again. And I say again because I'm pretty sure that Horiguchi is going to win. Chico Camus has lost to 2 guys that are pretty legit, Henry Cejudo and Holdsworth. 2 guys that are pretty legit in their divisions. And his last win was against Brad Pickett. Brad Pickett has not impressed me recently, and I think he's kind of on the decline, honestly. So I think like you said, his last fight against Cejudo was a pretty good fight, but I just don't see Camus being at that level that Horiguchi is at this moment. I think Horiguchi is on his way to probably getting himself another shot at DJ, where he's probably going to get wrecked again. But I mean, like you said, there's just nobody there in that division that can really challenge. I mean, the last guy that everybody thought would be a challenge for DJ got wrecked, got finished. So yeah, I just don't see it.
And real quick, what do you think about Demetrius Johnson saying, first of all, he's like, fuck not fighting in Nevada. I like Nick Diaz, but no. But what do you think about him? I mean, who are you going to give him next? There is no clear-cut challenger, right? Or do you have someone in mind other than TJ Dillashaw?
No, honestly, I think what DJ has to do is go get some movie deal like Ronda, go make a movie or two, go do something, go take up golfing, go part of the the Major League of Gaming, go be a gamer, go do something other than fighting, because he's so consistent and he fights all the time that he's just wrecking his own division. It's great that he wants to break Anderson Silva's record, but I think he needs to take a little vacation, maybe like 6 months to maybe a year. It sucks, but maybe he even has to get injured and just stay out of the fight game for a while. That way the division has time to develop, because, I mean, what are we looking at right now? Cejudo going up and fighting him? It's not good enough for me. I don't think Cejudo has the skills yet, or the time in the octagon to really show what he can do. Maybe he might grind out and stay in there for a decision and still lose, I think. But I think he just needs more work, and I think that's the problem here. Most of these guys need more work, more time to develop. So I just want him to take a little bit of time off. Hey Hollywood, get him a movie or something. Come on.
Yeah, right. Exactly. If anyone could benefit from a Conor McGregor at 125, it's DJ for sure. Somebody at 125 start talking shit like an Irishman, just straight up. So it would help us. If you think about it, and before we move on and get Don's pick for this fight. The best thing to happen to all that was Conor McGregor. So, anyway, moving on here. Don, who you got in this fight and why?
Jesse said everything for me. It's 100%. I like the King as a nickname. Fighter, no. I mean, you did lose to Cejudo, but you didn't really look good to me at all. Kyoji Horiguchi, nobody looks good against DJ. The only person who's ever attempted to look good was when he fought whatever his name was, Dotson, the first time. Other than that, everybody looks basic. So I'm going to go with Horiguchi, using that anger that he didn't get to put on DJ, and he's going to come over here and he's going to finish him.
All right. Let's move on here to our co-main event of the evening. This was a little weird. This is Uriah Hall stepping in on late notice, taking on Gegard Mousasi, who I think is a beastly dude at 185. He's just, first of all, his expression never changes, but word coming out of Japan is that he's been smiling, which I think is scary as shit, because he must be thinking this fight's over already. You know what I mean? Like, or something. I don't know. But let's talk about Uriah Hall first. Uriah Hall coming out, a lot of problems out of that Ultimate Fighter series where he sent like 2 dudes to a freaking hospital. One of them looked like he was dead, but he wasn't, thank God. But then coming out, losing to Kelvin Gastelum at the UFC Fighter finale, then losing again to John Howard. At this point, we're all like, okay, this just sucks. Then he knocks Chris Lieben out to retirement. Two more wins, had a 3-fight win streak basically. Thiago Santos and Ron Stallings, who again aren't big guys. Then losing to Rafael Natal in a fight where the popular opinion was he didn't pull the trigger. You know, he was he just kept holding back. So then comes out and TKO's Oluwale Bangbos, and he's a good fighter. I like his potential. But I think he's 31. At 31 years old, you know, at some point potential has to be realized. And so this, if there's ever been an opportunity for Uriah Hall to finally show us, hey, I'm legit, you know, I'm a legit fighter. Let's go, give me some more big fights. It's tonight against a guy like Gegard Mousasi, who I call his first of all, his nickname I think is the Dream Catcher. I think his nickname should be just the scary motherfucker, because to me he's just one of the scariest guys at 185. Obviously, 2 losses in his UFC career against Jacare and Lyoto Machida, But coming off a 2-fight win streak against Dan Henderson and Costas Philippou, has a win over Mark Munoz and Ilir Latifi. And of course, I think he used to be Strikeforce champ, right? Am I right on that?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So for some reason, he has a fight against Keith Jardine, which is I think everyone's fought Keith Jardine and beat him at this point. But starting out here with Don, man, Gegard Mousasi or Uriah Hall, who you picking?
What does Uriah Hall not like? He does not like being taken down. What does Gegard Mousasi do better than almost anybody at 185? He will take you down. Black belt in judo, submission game, ridiculous. And he's going to be in Japan where he fought a lot of his career. People over in Japan love Gegard Mousasi. Uriah Hall, he likes to try to stand and bang with you, but Gegard's never been knocked out in his whole career. He's been in the fighting game for a while, but when it comes to this fight, I think it's Gegard's fight to lose. If he goes in there and he tries to be flashy and ends up getting knocked out, I wouldn't be surprised. But Gegard's going to win this fight. It's going to be a no-brainer. He's going to go in there. He's going to find a way to take him down, submit him. It's done.
All right, Jesse.
Honestly, here I see what Uriah are we getting in this fight? That's the question. That's the big question for me. Are we getting the Uriah Hall that came out against what's his name, Oluwale Bamboze, where he just came in, threw down, knocked him out, walked out? Are we gonna get that guy? Are we gonna get the guy that who did he fight? Man, I can't remember, but where he got his toe basically broken in half, kept fighting and just grinded through and showed that he's tough, he's resilient. Or are we gonna get the guy that fought Natal where he was so hesitant? And didn't look like the Uriah Hall that we're used to seeing in The Ultimate Fighter. And you can't say that he was fighting lesser guys in The Ultimate Fighter, because they were on his level basically at that time. I just don't know. I'm picking Uriah Hall because I'm hopeful that that's the Uriah Hall we're getting. We're getting the Uriah Hall that's got the fire in him, that's going to come in and win this fight because he knows that this is his opportunity to prove to everybody that he's not what's his name from 155? Crap. I can't remember his name, but he fought. He's the guy that everybody says that he has so much potential. He's a Brazilian fighter, has a lot of potential. Eric Silva. Eric Silva, the man with the unlimited potential, but just has never been able to show it. Has never been able to prove it in the octagon, and that's what I don't want Uriah Hall to be. I mean, you had the praises of Chael Sonnen telling them after he saw him fight a couple times, you could be the champ because of the way he fought and his style and his abilities, and yet we haven't seen any of that, So I just hope that Uriah Hall comes in to fight. On the other side, Mousasi, like you said, I mean he's one of those guys that he's just, if you know MMA, you know Mousasi. He's one of those legendary guys. I think. What is it? One of the podcasts I listen to, they call him the young vagabond. Why? Because he looks like that type of guy that kind of rolls into town, beats the crap out of people, cashes his check, and leaves. Doesn't really have like a real set place anywhere, but he rolls in, fights, leaves. No emotion, no connection to anything. That's just what he does. And so I think it should be a good fight as long as we get the right Uriah Hall in this fight. Again, I have to go with Uriah Hall because I just want him to win this fight.
All right, Don. I think we got your pick already, or no?
Yeah, I said Mousasi.
I'm already looking ahead of the next fight. I'm sorry. All right. I just like Jesse said, I'm a big fan of Gegard here. Munch MMA hitting us up on YouTube saying Uriah Hall will kill him. Uriah went through a phase of not wanting to hurt people too badly. It was a huge issue for him, and he's right. We saw it in the Ultimate Fighter. Even Uriah Hall went up to Chael Sonnen for just like you were saying, for advice, and Chael Sonnen gave him the right advice. But sports psychology is a real legit thing. We've seen guys in other sports go to sports psychologists and come out in their next season or the next game or whatever looking like completely different people. It's a real thing. So Uriah Hall is one of those guys that seems like he has that issue. It looks like he might have fixed that issue in his last fight. Hopefully he keeps it that way. But Gegard Mousasi, man. Gegard Mousasi. That's all I can say about it. Gegard Mousasi is a bad dude. I'm going to take Mousasi probably as some kind of submission, but yeah, I wouldn't want to fight Mousasi. I just would not want to ever fight Mousasi. All right, moving on here to the main event of the evening. Two heavyweights. Roy Nelson, number 11 ranked, and number 8 ranked Josh Barnett. Big country against the War Master. We know what both guys bring. Roy Nelson, for as great as he is at jiu-jitsu, has the black belt and everything, he wants to knock dudes out, and he has a great record doing that. War Master, Josh Barnett, 33-7. He seems like he's good everywhere. But his thing is catch wrestling, right? Taking you down, putting his entire weight on you, and just punching you in the face so you're ready to just tap out and give up and say uncle. So, real quick, Don, who you got in this one and why?
I'm a fat white boy. What do you think I'm going to choose? I'm going to choose Roy Nelson. That's exactly what I'm going to do. Roy Nelson got that power, man. Granted, Josh Barnett's fat too. But I like Josh Barnett and Roy Nelson. It's so hard to pick who it is because you have Josh Barnett, great personality, probably the greatest heavyweight catch wrestler probably ever. Mm-hmm. And you have Roy Nelson, who he has a black belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. We've never seen him do it in the UFC. Mm-hmm. What I want more than anything in this fight is I don't want a knockout. I want like a 4-round Metamoris style ground war. Which I think if they did that, Nelson is heavier. Nelson has better groundwork. He could win. And if it ends up being a stand-up war, I don't think Josh Barnett has the power to knock out Roy Nelson. He has probably the best chin, other than Mark Hunt, of course, in the heavyweight division. I just think Nelson has all the tools to win this fight. It's just, can he put it together enough to beat Barnett in a place where they love Barnett, because he fought in Japan all those years too. So let's go to Nelson. Hopefully it's a 4th round, maybe armbar or something like that. That'd be crazy to see him get in an armbar.
To me, it'd be crazy to see Roy Nelson on the ground rolling with anybody. So that'd be kind of crazy. I would legit want to see that in Metamoris or at EBI or some kind of grappling tournament. Those two, especially because War Master is the heavyweight Metamoris champ. I think is what it is. If it's even a thing. But he's taking on. Supposedly, the rumor was he's taking on Chael Sonnen. Barnett has knocked that down. Has been like, no, it's not happening. Even though Chael Sonnen, he keeps saying it is. So who knows? Chael Sonnen will fight anybody at this point or grapple with anybody. But Jesse, who you got in this fight, man?
It's a tough fight, man. But I agree with Don. What I would love to see is both of these guys implement their ground game. Josh Barnett, even though he's a catch wrestler, he beats jiu-jitsu guys with just his style of catch wrestling. The way that he has mastered that is amazing to me. And having him go against Roy Nelson, a guy that we always hear the mastery that he has of the jiu-jitsu game, it would just be a good sight to see in Japan, a great grappling match for all the fans over there to really enjoy. Two guys that really know their craft really well to really just put it on each other. That being said, I just don't see that happening. And I think the biggest problem I have picking Josh Barnett, because I like Barnett a lot, I just have a problem picking him because he's been talking a lot about how he's never going to be a champ. He's been busy doing a bunch of other things. He's falling in love with acting, lots of side projects, Metamoris, the grappling, wrestling in New Japan. Just so many things that he has on his plate. I just don't see that he has the heart in it to be here and really, make a run for a title or anything. And I think he really could. His last loss was to Travis Brown with those nasty elbows that he likes to throw when people try to take him down. I wish that Josh Barnett had, and this is just from what I gather from his interviews. I wish he had the motivation to want to be a champ again. And maybe if he gets in there, gets this win, maybe he will. But it just doesn't seem like that to me at this point. So I got to go with Roy Nelson, who has talked about that he needs a title shot. He wants a title shot. He deserves one. He's been looking to put him kind of align himself for a title shot. So I just see that Roy Nelson has the more motivation here to get this win.
All right. Here's the thing about this fight. I like Barnett a lot. I like Nelson's ability to knock people out. Oh. Sorry, I got some weird audio. I like Barnett a lot. I like Nelson a lot. Alfonso brought up the point I was gonna make, but in a different way. I wasn't gonna say that Josh Barnett looks lean. He looked in best shape we've ever seen at the weigh-ins. I don't know if you guys watched it. Nelson looked like Nelson always does. Comes in at 261. Barnett came in at 239, I believe, and he looked pretty slimmed out. So maybe he's looking to be able to move a little faster, maybe tire out Nelson and TKO him at some point, which I don't think. other than Mark Hunt, I don't think you could TKO or knock out Mr. Roy Nelson. I just think it's possible. But now here's the best part about what Alfonso said. Alfonso says, Barnett looking lean and mean. That USADA weight loss program. Never know. He's been busted before for some shit, right? So that'd be kind of crazy. Munch MMA saying Roy Nelson is a huge bubble. His cardio sucks. After 2 rounds, he is out of breath. He has to do stand-up, otherwise he will fall asleep on the ground. That's a good point. The cardio on Roy Nelson, he carries a lot of weight on him, man. He gets tired. But it's because a Roy Nelson fight doesn't normally get out of the first round, you know? So he's banking on getting knocked out, or on knocking somebody out. So I'm thinking Barnett's game plan. What's that?
But see, to that point, what does everybody say? When you're striking and you're missing, you're not hitting, you get tired a lot faster. Mm-hmm. And especially if that's like your whole game of trying to implement, you know, a striking game, and you're missing a lot, you're winging all your punches, you know, from just like as much power as you can trying to knock someone out. You wing 3, 4, 5 of those, dude, your arms and you're just done. And that's not the problem with Roy Nelson, because if Roy Nelson, you know, grapples the crap out of somebody, he's going to be in there for the full time that he's there. He's not going to tire. He knows how to put his weight down on you. He knows how to beat you. But it's just that he likes to try and knock people out, and he falls in love with those hands. But see, saying that he doesn't have the gas to go is unfair to Roy Nelson, honestly.
Mm-hmm. Okay, I mean, yeah, fair point. Now here's that being said, all that being said, I'm gonna take Barnett on this fight. I think he's gonna try and see and test that gas tank, right? See if he can make Roy Nelson miss. See if he can get him tired, and then and maybe just go for a decision win. Who knows? Here's my question though, and we'll start with Don here. If the winner, let's say if the winner gets a huge win, a big knockout win, right, or a big finish in the first round, do you consider them a top contender for either a big fight or a title shot?
No. The top 5 in the heavyweight division is too stacked to give these guys a title shot. Now, if Roy wins by spectacular first round knockout, I wouldn't mind seeing him get a rematch with one of the people that beat him. Give him Mark Hunt if Mark Hunt wins, or give him Bigfoot Silva. That'd be a good one to watch. Same thing with Barnett. I mean, granted, if Barnett knocks him out in the first round or submits him in the first round, he doesn't deserve a title shot either. I'd give him like Bigfoot, or give him someone else too. I mean, yeah, no title shot. Maybe 2 or 3 wins in a row.
All right. Jesse, same question to you. If Barnett or Nelson wins by just a huge knockout or just a big-time submission in the first round, would you consider them a contender for the title?
No. I mean, I think you still have a couple people ahead that have proven more. They have more stock in that title run, in that title hunt. Miocic comes to mind. Arlovsky comes to mind, even though his last fight he probably lost that fight, but you know, Mir, even, you know, because his stock I don't think went down too much. You have too many people ahead of the game here than these 2 guys. They'll be exciting, and maybe they'll be in line for another title eliminator contender, but not in the next fight for them. No way.
All right. Well, there you go. Those are our picks. Again, just a reminder, Fox Sports 2 has the prelims, 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. Look up your favorite stream on that if you're not going to pay for that garbage. For Fox Sports 2 is the garbage channel. Fox Sports 1 is the main card. Starts at 10 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Pacific on FS1. And that's going to do it for us. You can follow Jesse over at Spawat1983. It's SPW181983. Follow Don at CBMMA_Don. You follow me at Ela31. CrossBonesMMA is the page. Keyboard Warriors is at Keyboard MMA. Shout out to the guys over at FightFuckMMA.com. Good guys over there. Shout out to Munch MMA, Alfonso, everyone that tuned in today. Appreciate you guys watching. Enjoy the fights tonight. I'll be talking on Twitter all night about the fights. For sure, I'm watching them. Might do some kind of fight companion thing, sort of, either Periscope or here. I will tweet out about it and let you guys know if and when it's going down. So, again, thank you guys for joining me today. Thanks, everyone, for watching, and everyone have fun at the fights, or watching the fights, or at the fights. If you're going to go and you're in Japan, fuck it, go all out. See ya.